Ya'ate. Welcome to the Native Veganarchy Oracle. I am your host, Yana Hakaitil. It took me a moment to come back. I had to deal with some stuff. But I am good now, and I can do this today. So in order to catch up on the couple of days I lost with my absence, I'll make up for it today after I do this reading. So let's get right into it. Shapeshifters on Planes, Part 2. This is Part 2 for the very recent issue of there being creatures on planes that are inhabiting human form, and yet they are clearly not human, at least to those who have the eyes to see. And so this is in regards to the first incident that happened. This actually was the first incident that happened. The second incident was the one I covered in the first video of the woman freaking out from Dallas, Texas. And I'm not using the term freaking out in a derogatory way. It's accurate. These people are in a state of distress all of a sudden. It's not negative for me to be saying it like that, okay? It's just the way it is. So, with this incident, though, this is the primary incident that actually happened first. So, this incident is so much more brief in terms of what was caught on camera. Most people caught the commotion on camera for the last 40 seconds of it. So that means there's approximately at least 1 to 2 minutes of this guy making a scene before everybody decides to record. So by the time people recorded, it had gotten to the point of escalating, and it had climaxed. So from what I can see, everybody had their phones out by the time that this was going on. So, like I said, they must have had 1 minute or so. So the deal is with this incident is a man who seems to be a British man. He's well built. He gets up from his seat, starts panicking about the person he was sitting next to, and because of how scared he is and frantic he is, what he says doesn't come out all that well. And the one video that we did have of people, of the person recording it saying yo, yo, yo over anything that he had to say, to the point where it drowned out his words. Well, we have a second video angle, and from that angle we see the situation from behind, but several seats back. And in that, we are more able to hear what he says, and we're more able to watch the whole occurrence, at least from behind. And so I listened to it over and over and over again, and from what I can hear from what the guy says, he does say something like, I'm not gonna go down, you died, it's your time now. And it's very interesting because he starts heading for the cockpit, as a commenter from Minute of Horror had said that they hypothesized that he was going towards the pilot to speak to them about this passenger that probably shouldn't be on the plane if they're coming off as this much of a threat. So I tapped into it, and I saw some weird things, and so what I didn't see anything literal. I saw more of an energetic, metaphorical sort of thing. So to start, I'm just gonna expel what I said. I'm gonna move on to the crystal ball, and then we're gonna ground it with some cards. So what I saw is well, he sat next to this guy, right? This person, and I see that the moment he started to take in this other person's energy, I saw a black right hand, take hold of the top of his head, and it started to, this is really weird, right? So it started to pull his head back into a circle, both And then once his head went all the way back to the point where he could see the ceiling, a left hand came and grabbed the top of his head and started to pull his head back to the point where his head was spinning backwards into a circle, a spiral. And so that was the point where he basically started freaking out. Like, when this thing grabbed on top of his head and started to pull his head back to the point where he saw the ceiling. Like I said, that's an energetic thing. And so I decided to tap into what he was going to do if he didn't get stopped. And it's very interesting, the shift of how it all played out versus how he was trying to have it play out in that panic. So in his panic, he was heading towards the cockpit, and yes, he was going to try to talk to the pilot about who was on the plane, who he was sat next to, since he saw that the other people didn't perceive this person as a threat. Yes, in the video, it looks like actually once he said, "You died, it's your time," he reaches back over to the person, almost to like pull back whatever was on their head, as if they had a hat or a hood on or something, to like reframe them, to get other people around them to look at this person. And in that split second, when he noticed that the people were looking at him like he was the crazy person, he was like, okay, they're not getting it, even though I shuffled this person to make it known that I shuffled whatever was on their body to make it known that they are the threat. They're not getting it. So I need to go talk to somebody that will treat it like this person's a threat. So back to what I saw in the vision. So when he ran forward into the cockpit, he got in there and he said something like, "All right, mate," and all that, with his accent, basically saying that there's a danger on the plane. This person is a danger and that we need to escort him. We need to stop the plane. We need to escort him off of the plane. We need to get him away from other people so that he's not actually a threat. And so I saw, once he made this call to the pilot got people, this is in the vision of what he wanted to happen. The pilot got some people, some men, I suppose, to basically go and find that person, that passenger, and to take him to the back of the plane to put him in a sort of holding cell in the back so that he's not a danger to the other passengers. And so he, with a sigh of relief, goes back to his seat, and where that person was sat, I don't know if they were actually sat by the window, but I see them being sat by the window, and instead of like, and I see that they had a very heavy, dark bottom to themselves, and that their back and their top of their head was dark, but their middle section was lighter. Like their middle section and their abdomen was light and there was more light there, but I just see complete darkness on their head, shoulders, arms. Their bottom especially is very dark, obviously, because it's the thing grounding them in the seat. So once that dark person with the small amount of light in their chest is moved to the back of the plane, there is a weight lifted off of that seat, a huge weight. It's no longer dark in that area energetically, and he goes and he sits actually in the same seat or in the seat that the person was sat. And there's a sigh of relief. And what I saw at the very last moment, when he was still sat next to this person, was I was going back and forth between things. And when he was talking to the pilot, he said something like skeletons for arms, which is a very specific thing. Skeletons for arms. I don't know why, but skeletons for arms was something that he used to describe this person when he was describing them to the pilot. They have skeletons for arms, is what he said. I don't know. So when he sits back, or excuse me, it was a little chaotic to tap into it. Just before he got up, the moment, the thing that triggered him visually, what I saw visually, again, this could be from what he said, like, you died, it's your time now. It could be why I'm seeing this, right? So what I saw is a person that basically has a skeleton type face. I see somebody that is almost like in the Dia de Muertos face paint, where they have a complete skeleton face, not in the decorative sort of way that is celebratory, but rather just literal skeleton face paint. So I see that. I see their dark eye look up and grin at him. And when they made this wicked skeleton type grin at him, that was the moment where he just completely panicked. He couldn't handle it. He was overwhelmed with, oh, this is why this person is so dark. This is why. And as they look me in the eye and they grin like this, they know that I know that they know. So he was basically in that moment being mentally attacked by this person, psychically attacked through this behavior. So, you know, going back to the following incident of the woman freaking out, with her occurrence, I would like to give a little more detail. There was somebody who was supposedly, this is the only person I can actually give some credit to. There was a woman who was not the older white woman, but rather a younger black woman, who talked about how she was very close to this woman. She said she was a few seats back, and she said that she was talking to this man who was basically sat right next to her across the aisle. And he wasn't saying anything at all to her, and she just kept talking to the point where she ended up just getting frustrated and told the pilots that there's something wrong with him. And if we're taking actually what she says as word, then what that actually concludes is that that was, yes, a shapeshifter person that was telepathically communicating with her, and she didn't realize that she was having a conversation with somebody that was speaking telepathically. And by the time she noticed, she was embarrassed, scared, and ready to do whatever it takes to fight or flight. Clearly, she was more in a flight mode, to the point where the people around her pushed her into a fight mode by the time that she exited the plane. Obviously, she wasn't physically fighting anybody, but she was verbally fighting anybody. So going back to this occurrence, though, there's something similar with that with this guy, where he was having a psychic experience with the person sat next to him. And yes, I do sense that there's a possibility that this was a shapeshifter that took on the vessel of somebody he knew personally, that at least energetically reflected that back to him momentarily. And with the way that he says, it's your time, you died, it almost makes it sound like, and this is just me hypothesizing at this point, I don't know about me being intuitive so much, but this is, it's a high possibility that this is somebody that he was relieved with their death. And so this skinwalker, this shapeshifter, in a wicked sort of way, decided to take on that form energetically in order to target and harass him. I don't know why. So let's take a look at the crystal ball and let's see what I can see here. And I'll tap into the cards. Now, with the first reading of the woman, though, I got more of an inclination of what she's going to do, what she wanted, what her plan was. more than anything, and what that they, as in the cult that is associated with these dark entities, because obviously they are connected to this dark cult, if there wouldn't be so many people trying to cover it up. So here we go. Let's take a look at what I can see here. Oh. Okay. So I'm seeing an angel. On the other side of a door, there is a decapitated baby. Like a decapitated baby sitting down, in like a potty or a chair, a small chair, and they're decapitated and their head is kind of dark. But their head actually looks like a man's head, like an elderly man almost, because they're missing hair on the top of their head. And that's really weird. So when we look back over at the angel has like a beak, like a penguin. Like they look like a penguin. And then right behind them, there's this weird monster with a giant head. It's a dark monster with a giant head and one eye. One eye on the right side. And the way this monster looks is like they have a big round oval head that is horizontally oval. And they have a sort of robes on and a cloak. Or a cape, rather. A cape. And they're right behind this angel. And I see now the hand of this monster, this alien, reaching through the angel. And the angel's head is shape-shifting into a tree, where there's two beams of light coming out. One in the front and then one on the top, but in the other direction. So it's split like two antennas, but one antenna that is forward is bigger than the other. And then now the alien is using their leg to kick to the side of this angel to stand around him. So this is a similar sort of thing that I'm seeing with the other instance where I saw like a gorilla standing basically behind this person and they were a light body. So it's almost like this angel is him that I saw. And with the beak I assume is like speaking up, you know, because the birds are symbolic of speech, of communication. And a penguin would be symbolic of penguins, they function in a community. Like that is how they thrive, in large groups. And at the same time, on land, they're slow and diligent with their movement, yet in water, they can really, really make headway with where it is that they need to go. So it's almost like him, because he was on this plane, he was like a penguin and he wasn't able to swim like he usually was, kind of thing. But the only thing he really had left was like his beak, in this determination with his beak. Now the decapitated baby, that's really weird with like an adult head. That's really creepy. So that kind of really adds to the whole, this shapeshifter took on somebody that he was relieved to see die. Because something like that is really creepy, to see a baby with an older man's head that is decapitated on their baby body. That really is a sign of some sort of weird blasphemy that is going on with a child. Okay? So, again, I'm gonna note here that both of these people are blonde, okay? They're both blonde. And so they are more susceptible because of their bloodline to being able to see what or experience whatever it is that they experienced compared to the other passengers on the plane, because they not only are blonde, they have activated blood. So this is weird. This is just really weird that they would both be targeted. So from what I can see, this has caused a huge shift in consciousness for this person. It has caused him a great deal of pain. He hasn't been able to get this off of his mind. He is heartbroken by whatever it is. It has forced him to have to change his perspective on things. He is in mental conflict now because of it. However, this instance, him speaking up in the way that he did, this is going to bring a lot of people together. This is going to be a unifying thing. This is actually going to cause a great shift in terms of peace, because we got the peace pipe coming out when I pulled Native Spirit Oracle. I mean, already it is causing a lot of people to wake up a little bit more. So let's see what else we got. Okay, so right now he is taking the time to study and learn what it is that happened that day. He has support in some manner from a man, it looks like. A masculine energy is in support. So they say that there's supposedly white hats and all that. And I'm getting the major arcana of the Emperor, and the Emperor is kind of in the category of it being like a government associated whatever. So from the looks of it, he's going to be getting some help at some point here. However, since this help is not coming out upright, it's coming out horizontally. So that means that it's a neutral energy, so that he has to be receptive to it. He has to choose here. He has a choice here to invest in this. He has to choose it. Right now, he's not really choosing it. So whatever it is that he needs, yeah, because he feels the sense, okay, he wants to be happy. Obviously, we all want to be happy, but this situation has really damaged him. Wow. Yeah. So he feels like he doesn't have much to go by in terms of how to even get this straightened out, this story straightened out. So I did read some headlines on what they were saying about this man. They were saying this British boxer, that's what they're calling him. They're calling him a British boxer. They're not, and if he's a famous British boxer, why aren't they giving him a name? So the fact that they're slapping a label on him like that without any other ties to who he actually is really not cool, not professional. So clearly they are hiding something. Now, what I read in the article, what they said is going on with him, they said he basically was getting really violent and he tried to harm himself, and because of that, you know, just they were trying to paint him as the most incompetent person, all because of those 40 seconds of him bolting it towards the cabin, the pilot's cabin. So, yeah, I do see that showing up here for sure. This is really screwing with his head. Bad. Really bad. He is bound to this situation now. He has to find a way to overcome the emotional burden that this has caused for him in order to begin to actually see the silver lining in the fact that he got to experience that. because there's the Ace of Pentacles here with the Ace of Cups in reverse as like the sort of clarification here for this assistance that I see he's going to be getting here. Now, he has to be receptive in order to get this assistance. So this assistance may not come in the form of, like, it may not be direct assistance. It may be indirect assistance, and he has to be of sound mind and clear and have a lot of clarity with himself in order to actually receive this assistance, because it's not going to look like, it's not going to be like somebody coming up to him and saying, hey, I need to help you, I can help you. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like somebody discreetly getting the message across to him, and he has to be able to understand that language in order to get this help. So I do see, though, once he makes the decision to start accepting whatever this help is, he's going to be very happy with the outcome, at least where it's leading him. I don't know about the outcome so much, but let's see if we can get a little bit more here. And they say that the woman that was involved in the first incident, she is supposedly missing now. I don't know how true that is, because, you know, if people are not on social media, that's what people are saying, that if they're not on social media, then they're supposedly missing. And yeah, so, you know, I'm just gonna take that with a grain of salt. But with this guy, they have made claims that they put him in a holding cell and all that. So, okay, so what I see here is that he has a clear vision of what he saw that day, with the Two of Cups and the upright coming out, because the Two of Cups is not only about partnerships, but it can be about the reflection that partnerships give, as in having the clear sight to see somebody. So he has a clear vision of what he saw, what he experienced, who it was that he saw that day. And it has changed him. It has pushed him forward on his journey now in life. And it has forced him to have to accept a truth in a chaotic way that he was not anticipating doing. Yes, and like I said, okay, so he's emotionally in distress over this whole situation, really, yeah. I'd like to get a little more insight on what it is that he saw, though. So let's see if I can get some clarifiers, because it does seem that he got a shapeshifter that was coming in to embody somebody that personally has probably harmed him in the past. And that's really, really scary to think about, that, you know, this person has some sort of trauma and it was relieved by somebody potentially dying, and a skinwalker would inhabit that person, that creature that died. Ooh. Yeah, so we got the Death in reverse. Okay, yeah, that does confirm it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's something else. Okay. So this is just my, you know, intuitive hypothesis on what it is that he experienced that day, based off of the words that he said, based off of the short clip that I got, based off of what I could feel when I tried to step into his vessel for a good moment, in the moment that he was panicking. Because like I said, in the moment just before he was panicking, he was just sitting there, and I could feel these black hands coming onto his head and pulling his head back. And that's really weird. So, you know, if we're talking about the idea that this is somebody he actually knew, then that could be why his head was getting pulled back like that. Because that could be symbolic of the head, you know, moving in the direction of the past. And then his head not only moving in the direction of the past, but moving upward in the heavens, into the sky, where we imagine dead people go. So, yeah, this is a weird one. This is a weird one. Yeah, and all the people on the plane got up and were all in shock over him freaking out. So, definitely a different experience It's almost like they learned from the first experience how to expose themselves as a shapeshifter in the next one. So this is the weird thing, is that these shapeshifters know that they're going to be recorded. They know that this is going to cause a scene. They know that this is going to cause people to connect the dots and have affirmations that they even exist without even seeing them. So that's the interesting thing, is that they knew what they were getting into. Yeah. Okay, and that kind of confirms it with Siete de Fuego in reverse, because Siete de Fuego traditionally is about standing one's ground, being defensive. So that confirms what I just said right there about them knowing that they're going to be recorded. They know that they're going to be exposed. So the defensiveness that these shapeshifters would usually have is down. Now, what's really weird to me is that they are doing a good thing. Like, there is a silver lining to this. They are waking people up. But what's really questionable is that they are dark entities in a way that are scaring people. Because if they were of the light and all that, then I don't think that they would be scaring these people off the plane. You know? So, more than anything, yes, because they are doing a good thing and they're aware of it, I see them as being gray. If we're going to put them in a category of light, dark, whatever, they're gray magicians. These are gray magician shapeshifters. Really weird, but that obviously means that they're not good, though, if they're gray magicians. It just means that, yeah, they're just more on the side of being not good than anything, unfortunately. So they did volunteer for this. These two shapeshifters volunteered. They knew this was going to happen. There were others on the plane, though, to support it. And the way I see it, when the people got up and freaked out, that was a part of the plan for the shapeshifters to, in terms of manipulating the people on the plane. Especially since this is the first time that they're getting exposed like this. You know, they didn't know necessarily how exactly to handle it, so it worked out in their favor that the people on the plane were highly susceptible to their telepathic commands of the people. So they commanded the people to stand up. They commanded the people to really, to make a scene so that they wouldn't be seen. Make a scene so they wouldn't be seen. Make a scene so they wouldn't be seen. Make a scene so they wouldn't be seen. That's really what it is. However, with the second instance with the woman, though, they learned their lesson. They learned their lesson that wasn't that wasn't the right approach. They needed to do it differently. So this is also weird because it seems like with the second one, though, at the same time, they weren't completely intending to be exposed when it came to this woman. Gosh, this is such a weird energy because it's like these shapeshifters. Okay, so obviously, here's what it is. These shapeshifters want to be exposed, but they don't want to be seen on camera. Yeah, so they are happy, actually, to bring their guards down. They're actually celebrating this. That's really weird. So there's the Three of Cups in the upright, the Tres de Agua. And then we got Siete de Aire, Reina de Fuego. Yeah, they really are working to actually awaken people through this. And that's yeah, El Enamorado, yeah. And then we got Ocho de Aire in reverse, which is about, that's the Eight of Swords. That is about karma, typically. Now, in reverse, it's more so about dharma. So, oh, jeez, that's what they're doing. Oh my god, that makes sense. They're trying to rebalance their karma before they get judged. I mean, this is just my psychic hypothesis, that these shapeshifters are trying to, like, become good in the eyes of God one last time before they lose their right to dwell on Earth. I mean, they're gonna get some points for it, for sure. God is supporting them to come out with it. Yeah, and then we got La Luna on the bottom in reverse. So yeah, that means that, yeah, for sure, they are volunteering to lift the veil on this. It's really weird. So let's pull some more Native Spirit Oracle, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah. So like I said about the ancestor thing, they are tied to these people. They're familiar with them through the ancestors card. Nature spirits. Oh, shucks. Yeah, this really is confirming that they are actually glad to be seen, but not seen. They are working to shift the emotions of people so that they can actually have the vision of these entities before they come here. Oh, and then we got great mystery underneath. So God is somehow working in this situation. God is working, it's weird to say, but God is working with these entities. God is working with these entities to get whatever it is exposed. So I made these cards the other night. These are like intergalactic cards. Ooh. About that just tied to different key terms about weird. Different key terms that tied to aliens and whatnot and spirituality. So what we got immediately in terms of like who this is weird. This is a weird one. Okay, so I think, oh, this is weird. it just gets me that this person, this entity has like weird gray magician intentions, like with the evil grin, but at the same time, okay, so this is just a weird person, okay? So we got Syrians, Nordics for what immediately came out. The cards that I pulled, these were alien races I wrote down. Syrians was the first one that came out for this specific instance, and Nordics, of course that would come out, because I'm talking about blonde-haired people. And then the next card that came out was Angel. That is an affirmation of what I said about that person looking like an angel. So that means that this guy might actually just be an angel incarnate. And that's a part of why he was thrown in the crossfires of all this, all of a sudden. And the next couple of cards that came out were, we got Pleiadians, Ritual, Past Life, Atlantis, Stonehenge statues. So that Stonehenge statues doesn't necessarily mean Stonehenge. It just means like great statues that are like the Stonehenge. It could be any statues that are big from the old world where we don't have the technology to recreate these things. That's what that is referring to. So these creatures have been around since the Stonehenges. Whatever it is. I got Star Family 2 and Friendship. Yeah, Friendship, Past Life. So there is a possibility that there's a tie to this entity from a past life in some sort of way. Now, since I see that this person has like Nordic blood, he probably is an alien. He probably was an alien in a past life and had some sort of crossing with either this entity or entities like them. Atlantis comes up, so that means that this person was probably alive during Atlantis, as in this man, not the person, creature, shapeshifter that he encountered, but this man was from Atlantis. I see the friendship actually coming from the creepy shapeshifter. Like, this is just weird. So, deluge. So, yeah, this does affirm, okay, so this affirms what it is with this creature, this is a creature that didn't survive the deluge. They did not survive the deluge, but for whatever reason, God has given them the opportunity to cross paths with this angel so that they could redeem themselves karmically and cross out their karma and create some dharma. However, since they are a gray magician, they took advantage of the opportunity to harvest some loosh in the process. Now, obviously, God sees that. God does not approve of that, so God will be taking away some of those points that God was going to be giving to them. Yeah, so I suppose that's really all I'm getting here for now. But from what I can see right now, because Great Mystery came up here on the very underlying energy, and I didn't get any other God card, I didn't get Judgment on the tarot cards, the Nikwe or the Mini, I just got it in the Native Spirit Oracle, so that gives me more of an inclination that how God plays a role in this is the native God, as in the original God that seeded our souls into our bodies, and that is the divine essence. So these creatures are connected to the very beginning. And I tried to do this reading a couple nights ago, and the cards I pulled out are reaffirming what I'm saying now. When I pulled these alien cards, I pulled out several cards that said second world, third world, deluge. So it was re-emphasizing that this was a creature that went from the second world of destruction into the third world where the Great Deluge happened, and they're now back here. So by the way, this is a part of, I'm going to say it right now, this is specifically what I am inclined to be able to do. What I'm about to say right now. I am inclined to be able to look at people's contracts in life. And that means I can see what God has designed for them, what they typically were programmed to do, what sort of trajectory they're supposed to be on, how their contract is changing as they're engaging with it. And, yeah, that is overall. So, in a weird way, God gave me the ability to look into this creature, the Shapeshifters contract. Alright, and it's just funny, because I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so this concludes the reading. It looks like aliens are trying to get in the good graces of people, but they're doing it in a weird, chaotic way that is terrifying. Because they're still in a low vibration, so they're still attached. They're still attached to the deluge. They're still attached to their sins. Until they can release that, well, we'll be having better experiences. But for now, if these entities keep coming up, because we even got Star Family, okay? We got Star Family in this. So this means that this is a fallen creature. That this creature was actually at one point a loving being that was born out of love. Not like the giants. The giants were not born out of love. This creature was born out of love. This creature, however, may have joined Satan's league of, angels that want to wage war on God. I don't know, When it comes to that story, I take it with a grain of salt. So anyway, I digress. This is the summary of what I'm getting here. Pretty weird, but, hope that answered some questions. Oh yeah. Ahehe, gigwaba menminawa.